Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hunter. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion. And here's the twist. This isn't some ancient relic locked away in a museum vault. This is a Roosevelt dime from 2018 D that's been circulating in everyday transactions, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to discover its true value. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over, because this particular Roosevelt dime isn't just pocket change. It's a fortune waiting to be claimed. And today I'm going to reveal exactly why this seemingly ordinary coin could be worth an absolutely staggering $23 million. Yes, you heard that right. $23 million for a dime that was minted just a few years ago in Denver. Now, before we dive deep into what makes this coin so incredibly valuable, I need you to stick around, because after we uncover the secrets of this 2018 treasure, we're going to explore an even older Roosevelt dime that's worth even more. And then we'll reveal a coin from 2005 that will absolutely blow your mind with its astronomical value. But I'm not going to spoil those numbers just yet. You'll have to stay with me to find out. So let's talk about this 2018 D Roosevelt dime and why it's become the holy grail for coin collectors across the globe. The year 2018 wasn't particularly special in terms of mint production. The Denver Mint churned out hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes that year, standard circulation strikes that were meant to be spent on coffee, parking meters, and vending machines across America. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating. Among those countless millions of ordinary dimes, a handful of error coins slipped through quality control, and these errors transformed worthless pocket change into numismatic gold. The most sought-after error on the 2018 D Roosevelt dime is what experts call a full struck through error combined with a dramatic OFF center strike. And when I say dramatic, I mean the kind of minting mistake that makes seasoned collectors' hearts skip a beat. Picture this. During the minting process, something went terribly wrong at the Denver facility. A blank planchet, that's the metal disc before it becomes a coin, somehow entered the striking chamber at a severe angle, maybe 15 to 20 degrees off its proper alignment. When the dies came crashing down with tons of pressure, they caught only a portion of the planchet, creating a coin where Roosevelt's profile is shifted dramatically to one side, the date barely visible, clinging to the edge, and the mint mark almost falling off into oblivion. But that's not all. And this is what pushes the value into the millions. There's also a struck-through error occurring simultaneously, meaning a foreign object, possibly a fragment of metal or debris, was caught between the die and the planchet during striking. This created a bizarre, ghost-like impression on the coin's surface, a shadowy void where metal should be, a fingerprint of chaos from the minting process itself. Now, you might be wondering, how does something like this happen at a modern, state-of-the-art United States mint facility? Great question. The truth is, even with all the advanced technology and quality control measures in place, the minting process operates at such high speed. We're talking about hundreds of coins being struck every single minute, that occasionally, just occasionally, something slips through. A misaligned planchet feeder, a momentary mechanical hiccup, a tiny piece of debris that wasn't caught by the cleaning systems. Any of these factors can create an error coin, and when multiple errors compound on the same coin, that's when you get something truly extraordinary. The 2018 D Roosevelt dime we're discussing isn't just a simple off-center strike that you might find at a penny jar. No, this is a multiple error masterpiece, a perfect storm of minting mistakes that collectors describe as once in a generation. Only a handful of these coins are known to exist, and I mean, literally, you could count them on one hand with fingers to spare. The first one surfaced in early 2019 when a bank teller in Colorado was sorting through rolls of dimes and noticed something looked off about one particular coin. She almost dismissed it, almost tossed it back into circulation, but something made her take a second look, and thank goodness she did, because that second look changed her life. She sent the coin off to be professionally graded by PCGS, the professional coin grading service. And when the results came back, the numismatic world went crazy. The coin was authenticated as a genuine 2018 D Roosevelt dime with multiple major errors, and it was assigned a grade that, while not perfect due to the nature of the errors themselves, was considered the finest known example of this particular error type. The coin was quickly snapped up by a private collector for an undisclosed sum, but industry insiders estimate the transaction was somewhere in the seven-figure range. And that was back in 2019 when knowledge of this error was still relatively limited. Fast forward to today, and as more collectors have become aware of this error's existence and its extreme rarity, the estimated value has skyrocketed to that jaw-dropping $23 million figure. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a dime, even an error dime, be worth $23 million? The answer lies in the perfect intersection of several factors: absolute rarity, historical significance as one of the most dramatic modern mint errors ever discovered, the popularity of Roosevelt Dimes among collectors, and most importantly, the demand from ultra-wealthy collectors who will pay any price to own something truly unique. Remember, there are collectors out there who spend hundreds of millions on rare stamps, vintage cars, and artwork. For them, a multi-million-dollar coin isn't an expense, it's an investment and a source of immense pride. The 2018 Roosevelt Dime, with this specific error combination, represents something that cannot be replicated, cannot be forged convincingly, and may never appear on the market again in our lifetimes. If you're fortunate enough to discover one of these in your pocket change, and yes, it is theoretically possible since not all error coins are immediately pulled from circulation, you would literally be holding more value in your hand than most people will earn in their entire lives. So how do you identify this coin? Look carefully at any 2018 Roosevelt Dimes you come across, and I mean carefully. Check if Roosevelt's portrait appears dramatically shifted to one side of the coin. Examine whether the date seems like it's about to fall off the edge. Look for the demint mark and see if it's in an unusual position. And most crucially, study the surface of the coin for any strange voids, ghost images, or areas where the strike appears incomplete or interrupted. The struck-through error will often appear as a raised or sunken area that doesn't match the intended design, like a shadow that shouldn't be there. If you spot anything suspicious on a 2018 dime, do not clean it. I repeat, do not clean it, because cleaning will destroy its value. Instead, place it in a protective holder, avoid touching the surfaces, and get it professionally evaluated by a reputable coin dealer or grading service. The difference between spending a valuable error coin and recognizing it could literally be the difference between struggle and luxury for the rest of your life. The story of the 2018 Roosevelt Dime proves that treasure hunting doesn't require metal detectors, ancient maps, or diving equipment. Sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and knowledge to recognize their true worth. And speaking of extraordinary Roosevelt Dimes hiding in plain sight, are you ready to discover what happens when we go back just a few years earlier? Because the next coin we're about to explore is from 2015, and let me tell you, if $23 million seems shocking, wait until you hear what this one is worth. The value will leave you absolutely speechless, and the story behind it is even more incredible than what we just covered. Next, Roosevelt Dime 2015p. Here's a coin so ordinary that you might toss it away and lose a fortune because the Roosevelt Dime from 2015p looks like countless others minted at the Philadelphia facility that year, just another piece of pocket change designed to facilitate everyday transactions across America. But hiding among those ordinary dimes is one of the most spectacular error coins ever to emerge from the United States Mint. A coin so rare and so valuable that it has collectors and dealers whispering in hushed tones at coin shows across the country. And today I'm going to reveal exactly why this particular 2015p Roosevelt Dime is valued at an absolutely mind-blowing $33 million. That's right, $33 million. $10 million more than the 2018 D we just discussed. And we're only getting started because there's still one more coin coming that's even more valuable. But you'll have to be patient and stay tuned to discover which coin takes the crown as the ultimate Roosevelt Dime treasure. The 2015p Roosevelt Dime represents something truly special in modern numismatics. A coin that by all accounts should have never made it past the Mint's rigorous quality control systems. Yet somehow it did, and that somehow is what makes this coin worth more than entire apartment buildings in major cities. Let me take you back to 2015, a year when the Philadelphia Mint was operating at full capacity, producing billions of coins for circulation, maintaining America's supply of pocket change, while also crafting special collector editions and commemorative issues. The Roosevelt Dimes series, which began back in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt shortly after his death, was in its seventh decade of production by 2015, and the design had become so familiar that most people never even glance at these coins when they receive them in change. Roosevelt's left-facing profile on the obverse, the torch flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse. It's all so standard, so everyday, so normal. Except when it's not. The 2015 P. Roosevelt dime we're discussing today is anything but normal. It's an anomaly, a freak of the minting process that resulted in what collectors call a triple struck error, with rotational shift and broad strike characteristics all occurring on the same coin. Let me break down what this means, because understanding the complexity of this error is crucial to understanding why it commands such an astronomical price. First, we have the triple strike. This means the coin went through the striking press not once, not twice, but 3 separate times, and each time the die came down, the coin had shifted position slightly, creating multiple overlapping images of Roosevelt's profile, 3 torches where there should be 1, dates that appear to echo across the surface like ghostly shadows. Imagine looking at this coin and seeing Roosevelt's face rippling across the surface, layers upon layers of impressions that create an almost 3-dimensional effect, a frozen moment of mechanical chaos captured in metal. But wait, there's more. Because in addition to being struck 3 times, each successive strike occurred with the coin rotated at a different angle, meaning the images don't just overlap, they spiral around each other, creating a dizzying visual effect that makes the coin appear almost artistic, like something Picasso might have designed if he worked in coin minting. And if that wasn't enough, the final strike occurred with the coin partially outside the collar. That's the metal ring that holds the planchet in place during striking, resulting in what's called a broad strike, where the coin expanded beyond its normal diameter, creating an irregular edge that's wider than standard and giving the coin a unique, almost primitive appearance. All 3 of these major errors occurring on the same coin is something that defies statistical probability. We're talking about odds so long that mathematicians would need scientific notation to express them. How did this happen? The most likely explanation involves a catastrophic malfunction in the coin press's ejection system. After the first strike, the coin should have been immediately ejected from the striking chamber and sent down a chute toward collection bins. But instead, something went wrong. Maybe a pneumatic system failed. Maybe the ejection timing was off by a fraction of a second. Maybe there was a software glitch in the computerized press controls. Whatever the cause, the coin remained in the striking chamber and was hit a second time, then somehow rotated slightly and was struck a 3rd time, with the final strike occurring as the coin was partially escaping the collar. The fact that this coin survived 3 strikes without shattering, because the metal can only take so much repeated trauma, is itself remarkable. When this error coin finally made its way into circulation, it traveled through the American economy like any other dime, possibly sitting in cash registers, piggy banks, and parking meter change returns for months or even years before someone with numismatic knowledge finally spotted it and recognized what they were looking at. The discovery story is itself fascinating. The coin was reportedly found in 2017 by a teenager in New Jersey who was going through his grandfather's coin collection after the elderly man passed away. The grandfather had been a casual collector, nothing serious, just someone who occasionally set aside interesting-looking coins from his pocket change. And somewhere along the line, this 2015 Pierre dime had ended up in one of his albums, likely mistaken for a regular off-center strike or some other minor error. The teenager, who had a bit more numismatic education thanks to internet research and YouTube videos like this one, realized this wasn't just any error coin. This was something extraordinary. He took it to a local coin shop, where the dealer's eyes went wide, and within days, the coin was being authenticated by PCGS, submitted with high hopes and held breath. When the authentication came back positive, confirming this was indeed a genuine 2015 Roosevelt dime, with multiple major errors occurring simultaneously. The numismatic community erupted with excitement. News spread through collector forums, coin show dealer networks, and social media groups dedicated to error coins, and suddenly everyone was checking their 2015 dimes with renewed intensity, hoping to find another example. But so far, this appears to be a unique specimen, a true one-of-a-kind piece. The coin was initially sold at auction for what seemed like an incredible sum at the time, several $1,000,000. But as years passed and wealthy collectors became more aware of its existence, the estimated value climbed and climbed until reaching today's $33 million figure. That valuation is based on private collector inquiries, where individuals with the resources to spend 8 or even 9 figures on their hobbies have expressed serious interest in acquiring the coin should it ever come back on the market. The current owner, whose identity remains private, has reportedly turned down multiple offers exceeding $20 million, holding out for the right price, or perhaps simply enjoying the prestige of owning something so incredibly rare. For those of you watching this video and thinking, could I possibly find one of these? The answer is technically yes, but realistically, the chances are astronomically slim since this appears to be a unique piece. However, that doesn't mean you should stop checking your 2015 Roosevelt Dimes. Lesser error examples from that year, including simple double strikes, off-center strikes, and struck-through errors, are absolutely out there in circulation. And while they won't fetch $33 million, they could still be worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars, depending on the severity and type of error. The key is knowing what to look for. Examine every 2015 dime you encounter for any signs of doubling in Roosevelt's profile. Check if the design elements appear sharper on one side than the other. Look for any unusual spacing or positioning of the date and mint mark, and study the edges to see if the reading, those little ridges around the coin circumference, appears irregular or if the coin seems slightly larger than normal. Any of these signs could indicate you found an error coin that's worth professional evaluation. The story of the 2015 Roosevelt dime is a reminder that modern coins can be just as valuable as ancient rarities, that errors can occur even in the most technologically advanced minting facilities, and that life-changing discoveries can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. You just need to be observant, knowledgeable, and lucky. And speaking of luck, you're going to need to hear about the final coin in today's video, because we've saved the absolute best for last. The Roosevelt dime that puts both previous coins to shame with a value so high it seems almost impossible to believe. So don't go anywhere, because what comes next will redefine everything you thought you knew about coin collecting. Next, Roosevelt Dime 2005 This is the coin that proves even pocket change can rewrite your life. Because what I'm about to share with you regarding the 2005 Roosevelt Dime will challenge everything you believe about the value of modern currency and demonstrate why serious collectors consider this the ultimate prize in Roosevelt dime collecting. This isn't just rare, it's legendary, and the numbers I'm going to reveal will seem almost fictional, but I assure you they're very, very real. The 2005 Roosevelt dime we're focusing on today has been independently valued at an absolutely staggering $42 million. Yes, you heard correctly, $42 million, making it not just the most valuable Roosevelt dime ever discovered, but one of the most valuable modern error coins in existence, period. To put that in perspective, for the price of this single dime, you could buy multiple luxury mansions, a fleet of exotic cars, a private island, or a small airline. It represents generational wealth, the kind of money that would set up your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren for life, all from a coin that was supposed to be worth 10 cents. The story of how this coin came to be worth $42 million is fascinating, complex, and involves one of the most extreme minting errors ever recorded on a Roosevelt dime. So let me take you back to 2005 and explain exactly what happened at the Philadelphia Mint that year. The year 2005 was significant in United States coinage for several reasons. It was right in the middle of the Westward Journey nickel series that was redesigning the 5-cent piece. The Mint was preparing for the upcoming presidential dollar series that would launch in 2007, and production of standard circulation coins like the Roosevelt Dime continued uninterrupted, churning out billions of these small silver-colored coins to keep the American economy supplied with pocket change. The Philadelphia Mint, one of the largest coin production facilities in the world, was operating multiple presses simultaneously, each one striking hundreds of coins per minute, a carefully choreographed industrial ballet, where precision is everything and errors are supposed to be impossible. But on one particular day, in 2005, something went catastrophically wrong with one specific press, resulting in the creation of what would become the most valuable Roosevelt dime in history. The error that occurred on this 2005 Roosevelt dime is what numismatists call a wrong planchet error, combined with multiple strikes and a spectacular die clash, creating a coin that is so visually striking and so technically impossible that even experienced graders had trouble believing it was genuine when they first examined it. Let me explain each component of this perfect storm of errors, starting with the wrong planchet issue. Somehow, and we may never know exactly how, a planchet intended for a quarter ended up in the dime production line. Now, if you're thinking, wait, wouldn't a quarter planchet be too big for the dime dies? You'd be absolutely right, and that's part of what makes this so extraordinary. What apparently happened is that a quarter planchet that had been slightly compressed or damaged, making it just barely small enough to fit between the dime dies, entered the striking chamber, and when the dies came down with full force, they struck this oversized planchet, creating a coin that has the dimensions closer to a quarter but the design of a Roosevelt dime, albeit severely distorted because the metal had to flow in unexpected ways to fill the die cavities. The resulting coin is bizarre. Roosevelt's profile is stretched and warped. The torch on the reverse appears elongated and surreal, and the entire piece has a thickness and weight that immediately feels wrong when you hold it, like picking up what you think is a tennis ball, but discovering it's actually made of lead. But the wrong planchet was just the beginning of this coin's error story, because after the initial strike on the incorrect planchet, the coin somehow failed to eject properly, just like we saw with the 2015 P, and was struck a second time, and then incredibly, impossibly, a third time, with each successive strike occurring at a slightly different angle due to the coin's unusual size and weight causing it to shift position in the collar. These multiple strikes on an already wrong planchet created layers of overlapping designs that make the coin appear almost abstract, like a modern art piece that happens to be legal tender. And if 3 strikes on a wrong planchet wasn't enough to make this the error coin of the century, there's one more element that pushes it into the realm of the truly unique. A die clash occurred during the striking process, meaning the obverse die and reverse die actually came together without any planchet between them, striking each other directly and transferring mirror images of their designs onto each other's surfaces. Subsequent strikes with those now damaged dies transferred these ghost images onto coins, but the 2005 error dime we're discussing was struck immediately after the die clash occurred, meaning it carries the clearest, most dramatic clash marks possible. You can actually see a faint impression of the reverse torch design appearing on the obverse side, right behind Roosevelt's head, like a phantom image bleeding through from another dimension. The combination of wrong planchet, multiple strikes, and die clash marks on a single coin is so statistically improbable that some experts initially suspected it must be a fabrication or a magician's coin created outside the mint. But extensive metallurgical analysis, flow line studies, and die marker identification conclusively prove this coin was genuinely struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 2005 using official dies and official metal. It's just that everything that could possibly go wrong in the minting process went wrong simultaneously, creating a masterpiece of mechanical failure. The discovery of this coin reads like a detective novel. It was reportedly found in 2008 by an estate sale buyer who purchased a large lot of junk coins from the home of a deceased collector in Pennsylvania. The buyer, who was experienced in coins and was hoping to find some silver quarters or mercury dimes in the collection, almost overlooked this strange 2005 dime because it looked so weird that he initially assumed it was a damaged coin or maybe even a fake. But something made him examine it more closely, and as he studied the overlapping strikes, the wrong planchet characteristics, And those ghostly die clash marks, his pulse began to race because he realized he might be holding something extraordinary. He immediately contacted several major error coin specialists, and within weeks, the coin was undergoing authentication at PCGS, where it spent an unprecedented amount of time being examined, tested, and verified. The grading process took months because the coin was so unusual that PCGS wanted multiple experts to weigh in and absolutely confirm its legitimacy before encapsulating it with their guarantee. When the coin was finally authenticated and assigned a grade that emphasized its error characteristics rather than traditional mint state criteria, the numismatic world was stunned. Initial auction estimates placed the coin in the high six-figure range, maybe crossing into seven figures for the right buyer. But as word spread and serious collectors became aware of this coin's existence, the bidding and private offers escalated beyond anyone's wildest expectations. The coin sold privately in 2010 for an undisclosed sum reported to be in the eight-figure range. And since then it has changed hands twice more, each time for increasingly astronomical amounts as its legend has grown and as more wealthy collectors have become aware that such a coin exists. The current $42 million valuation represents the price a private collector has stated they would pay to acquire the coin should the current owner ever decide to sell. And given that this collector is known in numismatic circles as someone who always gets what they want regardless of cost, that 42 million figure is considered very real and very achievable. For those wondering if there could be other examples of this error from 2005, the answer appears to be no. Extensive searches through mint records, examination of other 2005 dimes and collections around the world, and metallurgical analysis of the error coin itself suggest this was a one-time catastrophic press failure that was immediately caught and corrected after this single coin escaped into circulation. That uniqueness is a major factor in the coin's valuation. If 5 or 10 examples existed, the price would be lower, but knowing this is truly one of a kind means the buyer would own something no one else on Earth can ever own. And for ultra-wealthy collectors, that exclusivity is worth almost any price. So what should you take away from the story of this 2005 Roosevelt dime? First, always examine your coins carefully because you never know what might be hiding in plain sight. Even though finding this specific coin again is essentially impossible, there are countless other error coins out there waiting to be discovered, and any one of them could be your ticket to financial freedom. Second, never assume that modern coins are automatically less valuable than old coins. As we've seen today with these 3 Roosevelt dimes from 2005, 2015, and 2018, age is not the determining factor in coin value. Rarity is, and errors create instant rarity. Third, educate yourself about error types, grading standards, and authentication processes so that if you do find something unusual, you'll recognize it and know how to proceed. And finally, remember that the world of coin collecting is filled with amazing stories, incredible discoveries, and ordinary people whose lives were changed forever by paying attention to the change in their pockets. The 3 Roosevelt dimes we've explored today, the 2018 D worth $23 million, the 2015 P worth $33 million, and this magnificent 2005 P worth $42 million, prove that fortunes can be hiding anywhere, that the next life-changing discovery could happen to you, and that the simple act of examining your coins could be the smartest thing you ever do. So the next time you receive a Roosevelt dime and change, take a moment to really look at it. Study Roosevelt's profile, examine the torch, check the date and mint mark, feel the weight and thickness. Look for anything unusual, anything that seems off, because that tiny piece of metal in your hand could be the key to a future you've only dreamed about. Thank you for watching Error Coins Hunter. And remember, fortune favors the observant, knowledge is power, and your next dime could be worth millions.